On World News Tonight this Wednesday, one of the country's most wanted men formally charged with the Olympic bombing in 1996. Will this make it any easier to catch him? The backbone of the U.S. economy, the American consumer, spending more cautiously. And we'll take a closer look at managed health care and mental health.
We've moved from a system that wasted money to one that wastes lives.
Our series, The HMO Nation.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. It has been 2 years and 79 days now since the bombing at the Olympics in Atlanta sent such a chill through the nation. One woman killed outright, more than 100 wounded, the games overwhelmed. Today, Eric Rudolph, one of the FBI's most wanted men, was formally charged with that bombing. And the FBI hopes that maybe this will finally help them find Rudolph. Here's ABC's John Miller.
Federal investigators released a new photograph that the FBI says shows Eric Rudolph during the 1996 Olympics dressed as he was on the day of the bombing. By charging Rudolph with that bombing, which killed Alice Hawthorne in front of her husband and daughter and injured hundreds of visitors to the Summer Games, investigators are hoping to change the way some people think of Rudolph.
It paints a picture of an individual that is not one that we believe should be admired as a hero.
The FBI and the ATF fear in the hills of North Carolina that many people who may have seen Rudolph are reluctant to turn him in. Rudolph has been charged with the bombings of 2 abortion clinics and a gay nightclub. But many of those who live where the hunt for Rudolph has been going on for 8 months are against abortion and gays. So today, in bringing these new charges, authorities stressed some of those injured had no stake in the issue of abortion or gay rights.
A second bomb was placed and timed to injure America's first responders.
But in Andrews, North Carolina today, some told us the new charges did not change what they thought of Rudolph.
This formal charging is not really going to change anybody's opinion, I don't think.
I wouldn't turn him in. I wouldn't turn him in for $10 million.
One investigator summed up the frustrating 8-month hunt this way. First, we appealed to people's civic duty by showing a wanted poster, then to greed by adding in a $1 million reward. Now, we're appealing to people's conscience. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
On many college campuses tonight, not to mention in the general population, thousands, if not millions of people are being asked to reconsider the meaning and definition of a hate crime. The impetus for this is the fate of Matthew Shepard, the 21-year-old gay university student who was savagely beaten and left to die outside Laramie, Wyoming last week. Tonight, an hour away in Fort Collins, Colorado, home of another college campus, the debate is particularly intense. ABC's Lisa Salters reports from Colorado State University.
What has grabbed people's attention here is a float in last weekend's homecoming parade. While Matthew Shepard lay dying in a nearby hospital, the float featured a scarecrow with the words, "I'm gay," written on it.
People were gasping. People were just, they would hide their eyes from it. They didn't want to look at it.
To many, it was a painful reminder of how Shepard died, of how he was pistol whipped and tied to a wooden fence. The bicyclist who found him said he initially thought Shepard was a scarecrow.
Though students at Colorado State University are outraged by the incident, violence motivated by bias on college campuses across the country is growing.
The number of hate groups was up about 20% just last year, and the level of propaganda, the sort of hate noise out there, is very high.
Particularly on the internet.
You cannot believe how ecstatic I feel that another one of you disgusting homos is dead.
Terry Summers, the head of a gay and lesbian counseling center near campus, has been receiving computer messages like that one since Shepard's death.
Makes me feel angry, scared because don't know what these people are going to do next.
A Kansas preacher who has an anti-gay website has said he will lead a protest Friday during Shepard's funeral in Wyoming.
The debate hasn't even started. And extraordinary means like picketing at funerals seems to be turning that around and getting at least a little bit of attention.
Many students at Colorado State say they don't mind the debate, but they want the hate and violence to stop. Lisa Salters, ABC News, Fort Collins, Colorado.
In Las Vegas today, a judge has sentenced 20-year-old Jeremy Strohmeyer to 3 life sentences with no parole for kidnapping, raping, and killing a 7-year-old girl in a Las Vegas casino bathroom. In a lengthy statement, Strohmeyer apologized and said he'd been in a haze of drugs and alcohol the night he killed the girl. In Iowa today, community leaders and scientists from around the country held a town meeting about a single drug. It is called methamphetamine, meth. There's enormous concern because meth is incredibly addictive, so problem and so severe that in Des Moines, more people were arrested for meth than for drunk driving. ABC's Deborah Amos has been investigating the booming meth business. Tonight, how the drug lords in Mexico found fertile ground for their product in Middle America.
Methamphetamine addiction is now an epidemic across the Midwest. Users are mostly white and middle class. In Iowa, meth is surprisingly easy to get.
Everybody was doing it, so I figured, hey, it's all right, everybody's doing it. And then not even 20 minutes later, I was out looking for more.
Also surprising, this meth is cheaper than cocaine with a longer rush. So pure, users smoke it. The most addictive delivery system.
Methamphetamine has come in like a hurricane and has just literally addicted hundreds and hundreds, even thousands of people that were never really addicted before.
The biggest surprise, most of the meth doesn't come from local labs. It's smuggled on this interstate highway from Mexico to California to the Midwest. Almost 90% delivered by Mexican drug cartels. One stop on the drug trail is Marshalltown, Iowa.
We have a large Hispanic group of good, hardworking citizens here working in our packing plant, and other individuals who deal in this type of thing, methamphetamine, come in and blend in right in with that group.
That's the way they work everywhere, moving meth across the country. And who's moving it? In Des Moines, drug trafficker Francisco Amezcua and his American courier Bobby Stockdale operated out of this mobile home. The DEA monitored the operation. When the 2 men were arrested last year, Stockdale told agents about his meetings with Mexican drug bosses.
Several different groups of traffickers are sitting around a table.
This is Bobby Stockdale.
Yeah, dividing up sections of Des Moines, saying, okay, this is my area, this is your area, this is my area. I think it was kind of a wake-up call for a lot of people here, frankly.
And a wake-up call for other rural and suburban communities, also targeted by Mexican meth cartels from across the border. Deborah Amos, ABC News, Des Moines.
Deb Amos is going to look at what Mexico is doing to curb the meth trade later this evening on Nightline. There's other news today, of course. We'll talk in a moment about holding back shoppers. They're still driving the economy, but they're also easing up. And later, the Vatican calling a surprise guest appearance.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Honda.
The Accord Coupe from Honda. How will it affect you? The AIM Investor Pop Quiz. The first step to smarter investing is hoarding every penny, cutting up all your credit cards, seeing a financial consultant. Peace of mind comes from investing with discipline. AIM Mutual Funds.
T-Bone, T-Bone, looking for a T-Bone, chewy, meaty T-Bone at the big T-Bone store. There's one. No, that's not one. Over there. No, over on the shelf. Oh, too green. Wait a minute there. Oh, package of little chewy, meaty T-Bone steaks. I'm waking up.
Mama brought you some T-Bones dog snacks.
Made with real meat, so dogs think it's a T-Bone. Resealable T-Bones brand from Purina. Dogs don't know it's not a T-Bone. It's a T-Bone.
In Washington today, the White House and Republican leaders say they're in the process of completing the the $500 billion spending bill, which will keep the government running for another year. The White House is claiming it has won on a major sticking point, a billion-dollar measure to hire 100,000 new teachers. The Republicans point out that they win because the money is going to be controlled by local governments and not the federal bureaucracy. The prevailing psychology about the economy has turned, in a word, to cautious. The government reported today that retail sales were up just 0.3% in September, but for the entire third quarter, sales were down 0.1% from earlier in the year. Consumer spending is by far the most important factor in economic growth. And the fact is that people are spending less. Here's ABC's Betsy Stark.
Consumers are still opening their wallets, but now they're thinking twice before they do.
I'm a little cautious now about what I'm spending and where I'm spending it, a little more than I was, say, a year ago.
Shoppers are buying less clothing, especially in the more expensive department stores.
You just tell us the size you want.
Home furnishing sales have also declined.
I think it began with the stock market crash. A lot of people who were ready to buy high-ticket items were somewhat inhibited after they lost $40,000, $50,000, $100,000.
Nearly half of American households have invested money in the stock market directly or through retirement accounts. Between July and the end of September, the average investment account has lost 15% of its value, leaving the average consumer feeling a little less flush.
It's going to make me a little bit more cautious because financially the funds aren't there like they were a month ago.
Consumers may be spending less, but as long as jobs are plentiful and wages continue to rise, economists believe consumers will continue to spend enough to keep the economy growing. In fact, today's ABC News Money Magazine poll shows 72% of those surveyed remain upbeat about the American economy. 65% rate their own finances healthy. Americans are still buying lots of cars, thanks in part to generous rebate and incentive programs, and discounters, including Walmart and Kmart, report brisk sales of consumer electronics and home appliances.
This isn't what you would call slow consumer spending. It's still a fairly brisk pace.
Retailers may wish Christmas had come in June when the stock market was cresting, but even with the market down, they are still forecasting a solid holiday shopping season. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
Still on the money tonight, it is corporate earnings season. Several more companies reporting that profits have been cut sharply. Bell Atlantic says it is anticipating losses of more than $540 million in the third quarter because of bad investments in Asia. Bank of America earnings down 50%. At the brokerage house Bear Stearns, profits down 60%. In Japan, the government now says it may take years for the economy to recover. It had been saying only 2. And a sure sign of caution on Wall Street, the market for new stock offerings, once red hot, has dried up. Last year, in September, 61 new companies went public. This September, only 4. There are some bright spots. Apple Computer has had its first profitable year since 1995. Its iMac computer is really popular. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials were up more than 30 points to close at 79.68. On the NASDAQ market, stocks were up 31.5 points. The man known as the Polka King has died. That's Frank Yankovic. He was from Cleveland, Ohio. He sold millions of albums. He delighted millions of people. His hits include Just Because, Blue Skirt Waltz, and In Heaven There Is No Beer. Mr. Yankovic died in Florida today. He was 83. When we come back, a very different problem for the president. The trouble coming in the Middle East.
We ease life's pressures. We help make lives more memorable. We're the people of Pfizer. We develop medicines that make the world a better place. We help people love one another. We help keep families strong. We take care of best friends. We spend over $2 billion a year on research. That's why we believe we'll introduce more new medicines for more diseases than anyone else. At Pfizer, we're not just looking for cures for the future. We're going to find them. We know know in our hearts the only thing incurable is our passion. Pfizer. Life is our life's work.
At Uniroyal, in order to make a point about our new NailGuard tires, we added a few to our test track. NailGuard tires, designed to seal 90% of tread punctures, instantly and permanently. Only from Uniroyal.
What I look for in denture adhesive is something that's strong. It has to be real strong.
Watch. Super Polygrip has improved holding power.
That's the kind of strength and holding power I'm looking for. Improved Super Polygrip holds a lot better.
Please release me, let me.
DirecTV offers more than 175 channels. Digital sound, digital picture, more sports, more movies, more of everything than you could ever get from cable. So, what are you looking at? If it's not DirecTV, see your retailer for a demo today.
In Washington tomorrow, President Clinton is going to try once again to wrestle the Israeli and Palestinian leaders into a peace settlement that has meaning for both of them. There's already a peace agreement on the table, but this Israeli government and the Palestinians are dangerously behind on implementing it. Here's our Middle East correspondent, Gillian Finley.
If you want to understand Palestinian anger, or the disillusionment many Israelis feel as peace seems to evaporate here, consider what has not been achieved in the 5 years since that handshake on the White House lawn. Those who negotiated the deal say by now the Palestinians themselves should control most of the West Bank. Today, Palestinians have partial control over 27% of the land, full control over just 3%. The peace agreement also promised the Palestinians their own airport. It's been there for 2 years, but citing what it calls security concerns, Israel has only ever allowed one plane to land. Security is the same argument Israel has used to prevent a Palestinian industrial park from opening, a Palestinian port from being built, and to keep thousands of Palestinians from traveling freely. And all of that was supposed to be the easy part. The really tough issues, like who controls the city of Jerusalem, how to deal with the millions of Palestinian refugees, what to do about all those Jewish settlements Israel's been building, all of those issues were supposed to have been settled by next May. 7 months to go, and those talks haven't even started. So that deadline, May 5th to be exact, has many Israelis and Palestinians worried. The Palestinian Authority has said repeatedly that if there's no deal by then, it will declare a Palestinian state.
The 5th of May, it's our life. Say, finished, the interim period is finished, come to, this is the new reality.
Some Israeli government ministers are already saying that if the Palestinians do that, Israel will take back land, not give it away. And that will make next May and the months that follow a very dangerous time. Gillian Finley, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Still overseas in Kosovo today, relief agencies were able to bring food and bottled water to some of the 250,000 ethnic Albanian refugees turned into refugees by Serb assaults. It's only a day since a deal was announced to avert NATO airstrikes against Serb targets there. In Russia today, President Boris Yeltsin came back from his sickbed to talk with his prime minister about relief for the Russian people in need. The government said it will create a $600 million emergency food stockpile, which is 2 weeks' worth of food for a third of the Russian population where it needed. There is no panic yet, but the grain harvest is expected to be the worst in 40 years. When we come back, we're going to take another look at managed care. Tonight, mental health, losing coverage because HMOs simply won't pay for it.
Has frequent heartburn been a persistent problem for you? Have you treated it but still suffer on 2 or more days a week? Do you keep getting heartburn even though you've changed your diet? Your heartburn may be due to acid reflux disease. Ask your doctor about Prilosec. 1 capsule daily can provide complete 24-hour heartburn relief because it controls acid for 24 hours. 24 hours. Ask your doctor if Prilosec is right for you. Call to learn more. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Want 24-hour heartburn relief with 1 daily dose? Ask your doctor about the most prescribed acid control medicine in America, Prilosec.
Nobody does it like you, the way that you do. Nobody's got the power to please me.
The Hoover SteamVac Ultra has 5 rotating brushes. Plus, it has a powered hand tool with 2 more brushes. It cleans like a whole crew of professionals. So, you know, there's really no comparison.
Hoover, nobody
SteamVac Ultra.
does it like you.
Are rich people taller than the rest of us? Are their loved ones more deserving of an airbag? Was the sun created solely for their enjoyment? Are we the only car company that doesn't think so? Century by Buick, full of amenities for under $20,000.
Now, during Buick's Fall Collection event, save over $2,500 on the 98 Century with 0.9 APR financing. Century by Buick, a luxury car for everyone.
I can help you plan ahead and make sure you have money for things like a kid's education.
That's fantastic. But I was thinking about starting my own business.
As a matter of fact, that's part of the plan too. Now here's the best part. Guaranteed income for you and Meg to retire in style.
AXA, dynamic vision, Equitable, a trusted resource. Call us. Equitable is a member of the global AXA Group.
Tonight on our series, The HMO Nation, we're going to take a closer look at managed care and mental health. Mental illness can mean many things. Schizophrenia for one, manic depression, a whole range of things, but it very often means needing money to get help. 140 million Americans now have some kind of mental health coverage through managed care. That's twice as many as 5 years ago. But we emphasize some kind of coverage. By certain measurements, the value of the benefits that patients are receiving is half what it was a decade ago. And that can very often mean pressure. Here's ABC's Rebecca Chase.
14-year-old Daniel Triplett was diagnosed with severe depression. After 2 weeks at a treatment center, doctors discharged him.
They discharged him in the midst of his crisis. I mean, the crisis was not resolved.
10 days later, Anita and David Triplett found their son dead with a bullet through his head.
We're totally devastated. He was our only son. He was our only child.
The Triplets learned from Daniel's medical records that their son had talked about suicide. They are suing the managed care company, saying it forced a precipitous discharge by cutting off benefits. United Behavioral Health would not comment on the case.
And I think boils down to the bottom line, which is the profit they make if you deny services.
Managed care has had a profound impact on the delivery of mental health services. More people than ever now have coverage. Out-of-pocket expenses are lower, and there is more accountability. But there is growing concern that many people who need treatment are not getting it.
The operative principle is short-term therapy. A managed care company will approve the minimal number of days for hospitalization. They'll want that person out as soon as possible.
For example, the average hospital stay has gone from 28 days to 5. There is more pressure to prescribe drugs in lieu of therapy. And the limit for outpatient therapy has dropped from 50 visits to 20, if you can get it authorized.
What's her insurance?
Here at Ridgeview Institute, clinicians no longer get a one-time approval. They have to repeatedly ask for more time to treat their patients. But psychiatrists have learned that if they ask for too much time, managed care companies may not refer patients to them anymore.
So we've basically moved from a system that encouraged overutilization to one that encourages underutilization. In other words, we've moved from a system that wasted money to one that wastes lives.
In his suicide note, Daniel wrote, "There is something in my mind that makes me need to kill myself." His parents believe that had their son been allowed to stay in treatment, he might have changed his mind. Rebecca Chase, ABC News, Media, Pennsylvania.
Many people tell us that to get the best HMO coverage, you have to make a lot of noise. To your HMO, of course, but also to your employer who's paying for it. This can be a huge obstacle for people with mental health illness because they are very often reluctant to let people know that they are sick. Tomorrow we're going to look at employers and HMOs, and when we come back this evening, you might never know who might be watching, especially on Italian television.
Give me land, lots of land, beneath the starry skies above. But don't fence me in, no, no, no. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. But don't fence me in.
This weekend, freedom doesn't cost a lot. Call 1-800-EMBASSY now for sweet retreat rates. Embassy Suites. What a difference a stay makes.
Don't fence me in.
Do you use the same corn pads your grandmother used? Now there's a breakthrough. Introducing Band-Aid brand Corn Relief. It covers the whole corn, relieving the awful, painful pressure. Plus, it's more comfortable than your old pad, and it stays in place better. After all, it's from Band-Aid brand.
New Band-Aid brand cushions for feet. A breakthrough in corn pain relief.
For calluses, heel cracks, or to prevent blisters, try the line of Band-Aid brand cushions for feet.
The AIM Investor Pop Quiz. The road to retirement should be paved with lottery tickets, pork belly futures, lots of vacations. Have peace of mind. Call your financial consultant about AIM mutual funds.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
This gay man was murdered. What really happened that night? Go inside this horrendous crime with details you've never heard before.
He was covered in blood, and I asked him what had happened, and he thought he'd maybe killed someone.
Diane Sawyer, Sam Donaldson, 2020 tonight.
Finally from us this evening, what was the Pope up to last night? We were watching the Pope today at his weekly audience in St. Peter's Square. You notice him looking at his watch? Is it possible he was thinking of a nap? The Pope is 78 after all, and last night he was up very late watching television. Last night the program Door to Door was dedicated to John Paul. Pavarotti sang Ave Maria. And then the phone rang in the control room. The program's anchorman, Bruno Vespa, seemed somewhat surprised.
Pronto? Vespa. Buonasera, Santità.
Yes, good evening, Your Holiness. Indeed, it was the Pope calling to say thank you for all the tributes. By the time he was finished, and the Pope did sound kind of frail, Mr. Vespa was near tears. Even journalists have souls, he said. John Paul seizing the moment, as he has done so many times. But he did sound tired today. That is our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a nice evening. Good night.
Tomorrow, are you frustrated by your HMO? Who's really to blame? The answer may surprise you. A closer look on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.